This one has already had quite an outing considering how recent it is, but hopefully I can bring some more clarity to the table. An email was recently brought to light by one David Rose, who works for the Unheard site, sent by Ravi Jayaram, who was one of the two key consultants in the various Lucy Letby convictions, about one of the babies, baby K, which casts quite a lot of doubt on what he said in court. Some relevant refreshers about the matter will follow on from this, but for the moment the bit here is from Ravi Jayaram's account given in court on the 28th of February 2023, talking about events around baby K's deterioration. And he says, "I had not been called to review child K. I had not been called because alarms had gone off. I would have heard an alarm. I got up and walked through to see child K." He was not called in by Lucy Letby or anybody else. The lower part, on the other hand, is an email Ravi Jayaram sent to 7 colleagues on the 4th of May 2017 after the baby's deaths. And in describing the same events, he says, "At the time of deterioration, Nurse Williams off ward talking to parents on labour suite, staff nurse Letby at incubator, and called Dr. Jayaram to inform of low saturations." The email in its currently publicly available state is thus. I copied the text in the screenshots you just saw because I wanted to do some cleaner highlighting, but the words are identical apart from the very top, which I cut out for reasons of a shortage of space. So what he says in an email to colleagues, referring to himself in the third person for some reason, contradicts what he said in court. In court he says, "I had not been called to review child K." In a private email to colleagues he says, "Staff nurse Letby at incubator and called," Lucy Letby called, in other words, Dr. Jayaram, "to inform of low saturations." His email was very early on in the investigation process, and it has a whiff of truth to it, primarily because people in private compared to in public tend to be more honest. And in court he had an objective in mind, to get Lucy Letby at the end of the day, and her not bothering to call him is totally consistent with that, but her actually calling him is not at all consistent with that. So what Jayaram said in court may well have been less likely to be factually accurate than what he said in his private email to colleagues. According to the fellow from Unheard, this email was revealed to the defence only in September last year, 2024, not before the trial, when it would have been exculpatory evidence. So the police, prosecution, withheld evidence that would have benefited Lucy Letby. Also, Jayaram is the only person to have claimed to have seen Lucy Letby acting suspiciously. Just after the bit you saw in his testimony, "I saw Lucy Letby standing by the incubator. I saw her and looked up at the monitor, and K's saturations were dropping in the 80s and continued to drop. The ventilator was not giving out an alarm. I recall looking up and saying, 'What's going on?' And Lucy said something along the lines of, 'She's having a desaturation.' Asked what Letby was doing, Dr. Jayaram said, 'Nothing.'" So his is the only eyewitness account of apparent suspicious behaviour, an eyewitness account which is now radically undermined by that email. And of course, Jayaram's responsibility for the clumsy treatment of this baby, where he oversaw a breathing tube being put in which was too small, and the baby ultimately died, that gives this whole thing the distinct whiff of death through medical malpractice or negligence, in which he would be implicated. From Dr. Lee's recent expert panel conclusions, there is no evidence to support a dislodged endotracheal tube. The clinical deterioration was caused by use of an undersized endotracheal tube. The consultant, that's Ravi Jayaram, did not understand the basics of resuscitation, air leak, mechanical ventilation, and how equipment that were commonly used in the unit work, e.g. neopuff and capnograph. So if Jayaram was responsible in a case of medical negligence leading to death, it might be tempting then to shift the blame somewhere else, which the changing of this earlier private email scenario into this public courtroom scenario might be a case of. Just before finishing this thing off, these are now the emails in their original formats, fully linked to all the parties, which I didn't have before starting this video. I only had a copy of the text. So this is where it starts with emails from consultant Stephen Breary, then this is where Ravi Jayaram's email starts. It continues on the next page, and that's the bit I quoted from earlier. Staff nurse Letby at incubator and called told Dr. Jayaram to inform of low saturations. And that was specifically from Jayaram Ravi, Countess of Chester Hospital. No getting away from this one, Ravi. It remains to be seen whether the spotlight is ever pointed in his direction. But in any event, this is new evidence which was not available at the time because it was withheld from the defence by the prosecution. And that ticks a lot of boxes in the process for an appeal hearing. In the meantime, this theatrical performance from Ravi Jayaram, as he basks in the glow of herodom, is always worth another viewing.
The families and the police have both said to us that they consider you to be a hero. Do you think the enormity of the part you played in all of this has sunk in yet?